Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to continue the conversation on the art of self-love. And I want to start with something that's been coming up in many conversations over the last couple of days, and that has to do with the expectation of where we are in our personal lives and what we believe should have been or could have been, um, based on belief systems that we're holding on to. Okay. And the conversation basically has been about, um, you know, things like, I didn't expect my life to turn out like this. I didn't think this is where I'd end up. I didn't think this is how it was going to be, right? Those are very negative thoughts, very negative beliefs that are basically insinuating that life should be something other than it is, should be different than what has transpired. And this is where limiting beliefs can come in, these belief systems that were handed down to us. They're part of the programming that we're experiencing here in our reality. And they would have us tying into thoughts that were not exactly where we're supposed to be or where we're meant to be. I could use myself as an example and say, well, when I was little and I was, in my late teens, I always had this vision of myself married with a white picket fence, a dog, a cat, two children, a boy and a girl, and a husband, and having this great relationship, this great house that we lived in. And that did not happen in my reality. Okay, that was a thought that I had, that was a desire that I had, but somewhere along the way, my life went in a completely different way. And I am married 3 times, divorced 3 times, and have had a battle with cancer twice, and a crazy cyst. And I've been through bankruptcy in 1980s, and or actually in the early 90s. It was like 1991, bankruptcy. And a lot of that is what my soul chose to experience coming in here. And people would say, okay, how did you choose to experience the bankruptcy? Well, we play that out in many, many different ways, taking vows of poverty and soul contracts. And, for many years, when I would have my astrological chart done, people that were doing the readings would say to me, yes, you have taken a vow of poverty. It's right there. I'd have a reading with somebody. Yes, you've taken a vow of poverty. And that always kind of played out because I always just held that belief that, well, I took a vow of poverty, so therefore I must live in poverty. And so that belief is a belief that I ran in my reality and chose to maintain and uphold because I thought I had to, right? I didn't think enough of myself that I could shift out of that belief and say, well, heck no, I didn't come here to be in poverty consciousness. And just because I held that in another lifetime, it doesn't mean I have to play out in this lifetime that belief system, right? I could have chosen to do that. I could have chosen to be like, well, I'm going to prove myself wrong, and I'm going to be, a woman of means, or I'm going to put myself through law school and become a lawyer and be respected and all this other stuff. I didn't do that. That wasn't the path that I chose. And the things that lined up with me believing that vow of poverty were the things that I needed to experience in this reality. All of that, regardless of whether I liked it or not, was perfectly synced up to my soul contract. Now, yes, we have free will, and We can choose some of the pathways that we have along the way. And I believe that we do that. But I also know that much of it is pre-planned. So how we are going to experience something is up to us. But the experience of it is what's in the soul contract or the soul blueprint. So free will gets us there by the how. How will we experience it? But the soul contract says, well, in this lifetime, you're gonna fight your way out of poverty consciousness or lack consciousness. You're gonna fight your way out of self-esteem issues, self-worth issues, and you're gonna fight your way into self-love. And so when we look at that, we see that, we're playing out every single aspect of it perfectly in every single way. So when I hear somebody say, well, my life didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, I always say, well, then change it in whatever way is possible right now until you build on that. And the next good thing happens and the next good thing happens. Because what we've been doing is living under the influence of ego. And our ego, if you've listened to my talks before, only know how to perceive what has happened or what happened, what is happening, okay? It doesn't know how to conceive, so it doesn't know how to help you get out of whatever it is that ails you. If you don't love your living arrangement, or you don't love your job, or you don't love being in a poverty state of mind, then we need to start to shift it slowly by holding a new belief system. But we can't hold a new belief system until we remove the old belief system, okay? This is how it works. And this is where self-love comes into play. We have to step up and love ourselves enough that we're willing to at least take the first steps in seeing that we have the potential to create a new experience, because we've created everything up until this moment now. The difference is we're not creating maybe the dynamic of what it is that we're experiencing, but we're creating the how in how we experience it, how we are getting there. What are we doing? Are we taking path A, path B, or path C? Path A, path of least resistance. Don't make that choice. Don't go there. That would be path B. Path C is like, oh, definitely don't do that. You're going to fall in a hole, right? It's up to us how we're going to go. We're going to go path of least resistance, path A, or are we going to do the path B? That's not really the best road. That's got a lot of bumpy spots in it. Or are we going to do path C that potentially has that hole that we could fall into, and then we've really gone down the rabbit hole and can't get back out? So it's always up to us how we're navigating this reality by the choices that we're aligning to. So one of the things that's most important is to understand that if we're aligning ourselves to these lower events in our life, these lower choices that we're making, we have to see that it has to do with the belief systems that we're holding in place. And one of those belief systems has to do with how we feel about ourselves, okay? Now, we could also be on the other end of the spectrum and believe too much in ourselves that we become narcissistic, and then we're only serving the self. That's not good either, and we need to see that truth too, so that we can come into a greater sense of balance. But this all ties into self-love, accepting and embracing ourselves right where we are in this moment now, loving ourselves in all that we are, knowing that we came here to experience exactly what we're experiencing because it is synced up to our soul blueprint. What changes is the decisions we make. So let's talk about that for a second. When we're not on our soul path and our focus is not on the soul path in front of us, our attention is here, or our attention is to this side. When our attention is over here, we have to redirect and navigate, move back to our soul pathway. When our attention is over here, we have to redirect back and bring our attention back onto our soul pathway. Why is that important? Because when our focus is over here, we're not in tune with what is unfolding in our potential. When we're over here, we're off our path, which means that we have to use more of our belief systems to navigate our way. We're not in tune with the higher self. Higher self is on the soul path right in front of us. When we're on the soul path right in front of us, tuned into the higher self, it's because we've allowed ourselves to be in flow. We've taken the hands off the steering wheel and we're heading right forward, steam forward, steam ahead, right in that state of being where we don't need to drive the bus. All we need to do is be present and show up for what is showing up for us. And then we have a choice. Do we like what's showing up for us? No, we're going to bypass it and keep going. Right? So this is how we're navigating our pathway. When we're on our pathway, we just have to show up. When we start to really understand how it works and really free ourselves up from needing to do anything more than being present, that's when these little miracles and these little special moments start to happen. Now, those miracles and special moments are what would be our norm. But the problem is that we get in the way and we think that's not normal. We think, oh, a miracle has happened. Oh, look at this, something very synchronistic and special has happened. And we think that that's an anomaly, but it's not an anomaly. It's our natural state of being. The unnatural state of being is when we're off our soul path and now we're in the drudgery of trying to work through something or trying to fix something or trying to mend something or trying to repair something or trying to climb up out of a hole or trying to get back on track financially. That's when we're not on our soul path. Okay. It took me a long time to realize that, but in every opportunity that is presented to us, we have a choice in how we're going to navigate that opportunity. You know, I had a dream one time where I was coming out of my house and I was getting into my car, and the car that I was getting into was this small Barbie car, this pink Jeep, Barbie Jeep, right? I couldn't even fit in it. It was so tiny, like my knees were up to my chin and this little tiny steering wheel, and here I am. So I roll out of the driveway and it's smooth out of my driveway until I hit the road, and then I hit all these moguls, and I'm going along this very bumpy mogul-like road in my dream, and then all of a sudden I start to realize I'm on the wrong path, and I turn because I see something that is looking very pristine and very sunny, and I turn onto that path, and suddenly the path becomes a smooth road and I'm on the right path. When I had that dream, this is years ago, I realized, oh my God, I am driving my bus, I'm driving my Barbie car, I'm driving whatever, my Jeep, and I'm creating all of it. I'm the one that's driving myself wherever I'm going and choosing my path and how I get to the next step, right? So it's letting ourselves be unfocused enough that we are not fixated on where we need to be, where we think we should be heading, how much we should be investing in, you know, time and energy to figure things out, right? It's not about that. It's about being, letting things show up for you, receiving. When something shows up for you that's not in alignment with where you want to be like, okay, that I don't like, that doesn't feel good. What can I do to switch this? And realize we're creating all of it. And if we're creating all of it, then we can uncreate it just as quickly by choosing differently. Okay? So that's super, super important. And when we realize that we are the creator of all of it, we realize that we can have more of those synchronistic moments than we've ever had in our lives, right? Those miracles are what shows up when we let go of the steering wheel. But in order to have that, we have to have enough confidence in ourselves and love ourselves more than we love anything else, so that we can always ensure that we have our best interest at heart and not hand our power over to somebody else or something else. We don't give our power away anymore, because we're important, right? It's important to make ourselves happy. And when we are on that road that everything just shows up, when we're on our soul path and everything starts to show up for us, and these synchronistic moments happen and these miracles happen, is suddenly we start to find joy and we start to find our happy. And the more we find our joy and the more we find our happy, more miracles and more synchronistic moments show up, because that is our divine right of existence. All of the other stuff is just the detour along the way. It's how we set this game up to play it. Okay, so this requires us to be extremely conscious with everything that we're creating in our reality. And when something shows up, check it out. Do I really like this? Do I really need this? Do I really want this? Does this align with me? If it doesn't, move on to something else. Make sure that you're always on your soul path. Okay, that's really important. This is about the art of self-love, self-care. We have to start putting ourselves first, because if we don't know how our love feels, if we don't tune into our own love and receive our own love, how are we going to be a good receiver for somebody else's love? We can't be. We cannot be a good receiver for love. Okay. And if you don't know what it's like to love and take care of yourself, how could you really know what it's like to love and take care of somebody else? You can't. Okay. Now, some people don't understand how come I share so much free work, because I share a lot of free content. Okay. And I say, because part of the work that I do is in service to humanity. And in some way or another, when I let go of the fear that, oh my God, the work is out there and everybody's going to have the work and nobody's going to need me anymore, that's the furthest thing from the truth, because every time I share something, something comes back to me in some way, shape, or form. So I learned to let go, and I just trust my process, and I don't worry about it anymore. And that's made me very good at serving others. It's made me very good at being transparent. It's made me very good at standing in my authenticity and not needing to have anything more. And those that want to go deeper with me, that want to explore deeper in their work, in their own personal journey, know where to find me. They know that they can have a session with me. You just go right to my website and you can book that. If you want to do the weekly classes, that's probably the best bang for your buck, because we're doing it weekly. You get 2 hours of this kind of stuff every Wednesday night at 7:30, right? So I don't worry about that. And it has changed my life dramatically. I am grateful and so in awe of the magic that shows up for me every single day. It's amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are what makes my life joyful. I can't even tell you how much you have changed me. You have enriched my life. And you know, when you show up and you're offering new solutions and opportunities for me, it's just even more magical than I could even conceive myself. Okay, so if you don't think you bring the magic, you're mistaken, because you bring the magic to my life. Every time you like a video, you give me a thumbs up, you bump me up in the algorithm so that more people can see me flowing into their flow in their feed, even if they don't subscribe to my channel. Okay, every time you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell, it bumps me up in the algorithm. Your service to me is as simple as you sharing this video with somebody else that you think could benefit from this video, who's struggling with their own self-love, who doesn't understand what it's like to be on the soul path. What does that look like? Where is it? How do I find it? How do I navigate to it, right? So you're helping them, and at the same time, you're helping me. So when we understand that it's all about reciprocity, and it's all about understanding how much each is worth, and that we see the worth in each other, and that we care about ourselves enough that we stop settling for less and we stop selling ourselves short, that's when real magic happens. That is the most unbelievable state of being. And so, you know, I really hope that something in this resonates or clicks with you if you find that you're struggling, especially those struggling with self-love, because we don't sacrifice ourselves anymore. And every time I'm in service to you, I'm in service to myself. It feels amazing, you know. And yes, I remind you about reciprocity because we are headed to that. 2021 is about, you know, service to others. It's about serving others. It's about caring about each other. It's about taking it to the next step to make sure that nobody goes without. If we have the last piece of bread, we're going to share it and give it to somebody. If we have money and somebody doesn't have money, we give that money. When you guys make a donation or a contribution to my work to keep my work going, to keep this channel going, you're making a contribution for those people that just can't make a contribution or are not aligned yet where they could see the value in the work that they're receiving from me. So, you know, we're helping each other as we go, and we have to let go of the whole judgment factor of how something should look, how something should be. Those are beliefs. We want to let go of the beliefs. Go back and watch my video on beliefs, and then watch my video on expectations and attachments. It's all tied in together. It's all very, very important part of the work. Okay. So just know that I appreciate you, and I'm going to do something different under this video, because after my last video, I can't tell you the number of people that came forward and said to me, you know, I really appreciate everything that you share and all that you're doing. But I am the person that would rather get you a gift or get you something that you need rather than contributing money. And I'm like, I get it. I understand that completely. So, you know, they were asking me, I would like to get you some art supplies, but I don't know what you use or what you need. And I thought to myself, wow, that's very interesting, very thoughtful, and very generous that you want to support my art addiction because art keeps me in a 5D state of mind, and it opens up everything so that I could expand into this consciousness and then, you know, bring through information like this, which hopefully you'll find helpful. So I went into Amazon. I don't really know how this is going to work. We're going to play with this and see. But aside from you being able to donate through my PayPal account, I've chosen a couple of things on there, all different price ranges, nothing outrageous, so that anyone that wants to make an art contribution could go into Amazon in my wish list and certainly pick something out to gift me. That is so acceptable. And to those of you that thought of that, I'm most grateful, because you're thinking beyond my box, because I wouldn't have thought of that. I don't hold an expectation. Part of my work is to talk about reciprocity. It's why I'm here. I'm anchoring the light. I'm a frequency activator for humanity and for Gaia as we're going through this process of our evolution. And that's what I do. I'm here to shift you, to help you shift. So every time I come on, there's this frequency transmission that takes place. And if you're listening through your heart and willing to take this information in, you'll get an activation with this. It's just what is. That's how faith came through to me as the acronym of faith, which is one of my higher selves, is frequency activator, intermediary, transcending humanity. And so faith was through my connection or my aspects of Nibiru, and holds the embodiment of rose quartz energy for the higher heart activations. And that's what I do. So when you tune into these videos, you're getting my higher self faith, which is sending through this frequency activation for you. So hopefully you're enjoying that as well. I know I enjoy doing these videos and connecting with you. And I definitely feel connected. So thank you again for joining me. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching this. If it resonates, please hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you're notified. Give me a thumbs up so that I know you want more of this kind of content. And if you have any questions or comments, please drop me a note below, because I love to connect with you in that way as well. Okay, and I will leave all links below. If I remember to attach the videos for the expectation and attachment, I will do that as well. All right, so I wish you a wonderful whatever you are doing. Know that I love you so incredibly much, and I look forward to connecting again the next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Love you. See you soon.